Hi there guys, I'm Danny and welcome to this episode of All Monsters Go to Space. Today I'm going to be covering the being of Spring-Heeled Jack from Victorian England. Now this guy is a weird one. He is said to have a fearful appearance. He was described as being very tall and thin, with clawed hands and fiery eyes. He wore a long black cloak of the time, tight white oilskin trousers and a helmet. He has a gentlemanly manner and the ability of breathing out blue and white flames. Some say he was also able to speak English. In Northamptonshire, they described this creature as being the image of the very devil himself, even having horns. This being would ring the doorbell, and then when the person opened the door it would claw at them, tearing their clothes, but never causing them serious or fatal wounds. Other reports say Jack would ambush people as they were out walking. In Czechoslovakia in 1939 to 1945, they had their own counterpart, the barrack, aka the Springman of Prague. Like in England, they both have incredible leaping abilities. There were quite a few theories for this being. Some believed he was a demon, others thought he was a spectral being, a popular thing at the time, and then there were beliefs that it was a group of wealthy gentlemen having a bit of fun by dressing up and scaring people for a bet. The first reported sighting was in 1837 in London. In October of this year, Mary Stevens was on her way to Lavender Hill. As she was passing through Clapham Common, a person jumped out, grabbed her and began to slash at her clothes. She screamed and he fled. A few people came running and searched for him, but no trace could be found. Then on the next day, it was reported that this entity jumped from quite a distance in front of a carriage. The coachman lost control, crashed and injured himself. The witness said that Jack then leapt 9 foot over a wall. He did this while laughing in a high-pitched way. Then, in January 1838, Sir John Cohen, the then Lord Mayor of London, mentioned a letter he had received and withheld in hope of finding more evidence. It was a letter from an anonymous writer that spoke about Spring-Heeled Jack. It mentioned that Jack had appeared in 3 disguises, that of a ghost, a bear, and a devil. It also states how this being would not enter a gentleman's garden with the intent of causing harm, and had been the cause of 7 women losing their minds. The writer pondered on the fact that this creature had been around for a while but never mentioned in the papers, and that they are being forced into silence. The mayor himself was sceptical, but a member of the public confirmed that a few servant girls in Kensington, Ealing and Hammersmith told tales of the very same being. Letters then came pouring in talking about their own experiences. These letters came from Lewisham, Brixton, Blackheath, Camberwell, Stockwell and Vauxhall. In February of the same year, there were 2 other cases. These 2 are actually amongst the most famous. The first one is on February 19th with Jane Alsop. The doorbell rang at her father's. She answered the door to a man who claimed he was a police officer. He asked her to bring a light and accompany him because they had caught Spring-Heeled Jack. She did so, and then she noticed that he was wearing a large black cloak, unlike what the police actually wore. He turned on her, belched blue and white flames, and clawed at her. She screamed and managed to get away. He caught up to her at her doorstep, and then was frightened away by her sister. About a week later, on the 28th of February, Lucy Scales and her sister had been visiting their brother in Limehouse. In her police statement, she said that they had been passing by Green Dragon Alley and they saw a person standing in a passageway. She was slightly ahead of her sister at the time, and when she came up to the person, he expelled flames at her. This caused her to fall into a fit, lasting several hours. But just to make it clear, a fit in this term doesn't necessarily mean like an epileptic seizure, but a form of hysteria that not even a stiff drink could have helped with. When her brother was giving his statement, he said he had heard his sister scream and went running to find her. When he got to her, she was almost unconscious and being supported by their sister. Lucy was then taken home and the other sister gave a description of the assailant. It fitted the very description of Spring-Heeled Jack. She said that once Lucy had collapsed, the assailant walked away in a hurry. The police searched for him but nothing was found. And in January of the same year, a barmaid called Polly Adams reported being attacked as she walked across Blackheath in South London. When the Times newspaper published an article on the attacks, they followed it with a piece on the trial of Thomas Milbank. He had boasted about being Spring-Heeled Jack whilst having a few drinks in the Morgan's Arms. He was arrested and tried, but escaped being convicted, and this was simply because he couldn't produce flames. And over the next few years, Jack became very popular, even to the point that some Punch and Judy shows renamed their devil to Spring-Heeled Jack. He was also mentioned in papers and penny dreadfuls, but from about 1843 his popularity and his sightings started to decrease in London. In East Anglia there were attacks on mail coaches by Jack, and this had actually become quite common apparently. There was an investigation in July 1847 down in Devon. They were meant to be investigating Spring Heel Jack, but instead were led to Captain Finch, who was convicted of assaulting women. He had been dressing up in a skull cap, horns, mask and a large skin coat. In the 1870s, more reports came in from all over. November 1872, reports came in from Peckham, then in April and May the next year from Sheffield. In August 1877, a group of soldiers in Aldershot's barracks said that a sentry on duty in the North Camp saw a figure in the darkness. It was advancing towards him. The soldier gave him a warning to turn back. He was ignored, and when the figure was in reach, it slapped him a few times. The soldier then shot at him, but this had no effect apparently. The figure then leapt away back into the darkness. Lord Ernest Hamilton wrote about it in his 1922 memoir. In his version, he says that it took place in winter. The sentries had been issued extra ammo and were told to shoot on sight, and the appearances mysteriously stopped. He believed that a Lieutenant Alfrey was to blame, using the image of Spring Heel Jack for his pranks, but there's no evidence of the lieutenant being court-martialed, so I'm assuming it either couldn't be proven or he was just issued a warning. Then in August 1877 in Lincolnshire, Jack was spotted at the Newport Arch. A mob descended on him, even shooting at him, and again this had no effect and he leapt away completely unharmed. And the last few reported sightings were said to have been in the 19th century. It seems he now no longer haunted London. He was seen in Liverpool, then in Everton in 1888, and then finally in William Henry Street in 1904. Some believed Jack was either a demon, a spectre, or an extraterrestrial entity. On the other hand, people thought he was a hoax, or just lots of different people dressing up to scare others. No one was ever actually caught though, so who knows? Let me know what you think. Was Spring Heel Jack a great leaping spectre or a man dressed up? Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe, comment and hit the notification bell. You can also check us out on Twitter and even support us on Patreon. But I'll see you in my next one. Bye!